Hi guys, we're back with another video today, and I know I've done this video already before in the past, but I thought I'd refresh and update it. We do have a lot of people that are getting into the hobby and potentially setting up their very first card show, so I thought it would be a great idea to go through this again because we all have those nerves, especially when you set up at your very first card show. And even now for me, myself, I've probably set up at a card show around 10 times. I still make mistakes. I still learn from them. So hopefully this video can help some of you guys out there. Before we do start, if you do appreciate this content, please smash the like button down below. Comment down below some of your favorite card show tips when you're setting up, and also smash the subscribe button if you guys haven't subscribed already. First tip that I would give out, and I actually didn't have this one in my last video, so it is a new tip, but I would say to know the demographic and the audience of the card show. So this one's one that I actually learned very recently. I went to the cards and collectibles market down in Sunbury. Now, I didn't really do too much research for it. More so, I just kind of picked it as a show to set up at just because I kind of needed something in between a lot of these bigger card shows that we had down here in Melbourne. But at the end of the show, it ended up actually being my worst show when it comes to total sales amount. The actual thing that I'll kind of run through here though is I actually sold a fair few bargain box cards. Like I sold a ton of bargain box cards and I ended up only selling like 2 cards from the showcase. So the actual demographic of the Sunbury cards and collectibles market, I wouldn't say the demographic, but more so it's more a local card show that's not really in Melbourne. So you're not going to get a lot of high rollers that roll through there, but it's also a show that was free. So expecting a lot of people to walk in there with their family. It's a Sunday, so people are looking to just walk around and just try and maybe find some cheaper cards. So I think that's why it boded well for more so my bargain boxes. People were rifling through them. And when it came to the showcase stuff, you probably weren't going to find your mid to high end collectors there versus somewhere that would be more situated down in Melbourne. And then you compare that to something like Hobby Hangout XL, Collect Fest, or Oz National. You know, it costs a bit of money when it comes to buying a ticket there. So if someone's paying $20 to $40 to get into a show, you're going to probably expect them to spend a little bit of money. And it just kind of contrasted there with the Sunbury cards and collectibles market that I had. So when you do plan on setting up at a show, do research and make sure you know the demographic and I guess what you're expecting people to pay for and look for at your store. So the next tip that I do have is to price your cards. Now I spend hours and hours before card shows pricing my cards, updating them. It's a massive turn off if you don't have prices on your cards. And yeah, I don't care if you really have heaps, you've got to find a structure that does work for you. The one that I do use is the bargain boxes for a lot of the bulk or the volume of my cards. Literally just put or allocate a different color of tape onto a price. So orange is $3, purple is $5. Put the color of tape onto the card itself, and I find that works very efficiently, and it's very easy to calculate how much people owe me when they do buy a card. And yeah, I think my biggest turn off at card shows are when people don't have comps and then you ask them the price of a card and they're like, oh, I'll work it out on the spot. It kind of puts you off because then again, just shows that that person behind hasn't really put as much effort into the show itself. And I'm not the biggest fan of it. I've also had an instance before where someone did have a price on the card. And then as I've gone to buy it, they've gone and said, oh, this isn't actually the updated price of the card. Let me look at the eBay comps for it. Then they've looked up the comps for it. And they have ended up going 20 to 30% over the comps in my face. And I'm just like, what the hell is going on here? I've just declined it. But yeah, if you have prices on them, make sure they are correct and make sure they're updated and actually make sure you have prices more importantly. Another recommendation I would have as well, get a price label. You don't need to spend big money on it, but the price label always works out well, and then you can price your cards. You don't have to worry about your own handwriting as well, but a price label works really well when pricing your cards for showcases especially. Speaking about showcases, let's talk about organization. So the organization should all be done before you do get there. So that includes pricing your cards. Don't be that person that's pricing their cards, again, like I just said before, during the show itself or not even have their prices. A lot of people, including myself, have also wondered, where do people buy those showcases that people use for their cards? So there's a lot of different routes that you can go through this. So you can actually get the frames from eBay. They're like sports card frames, like 150 bucks. I've actually bought one of them before, but I actually do prefer the jersey frames that you can get on eBay. I think they cost like $75 to $80. They don't have that sort of shelving in between that are kind of more designed for PSA slabs. You can lay out your cards how you want. I've actually purchased 2 of them, so you can get 2 jersey frames for the price of 1 card frame, and I think that works perfectly as a showcase because you can lock it at a card show and have that extra layer of security. And then if you are a handyman, I'm not handy at all. I've got no handy bone in me, but you can do a DIY sort of project. I've seen some people do some really nice showcases out there, but for me, the easy option has always been the jersey frame. They look fine and they work really well. In terms of other necessities that I would bring to shows, obviously bringing your cards, your showcase we've just spoken about. I would bring extra card supplies because if you are buying from other people, they might not have the greatest protection there. Bring the price label. I have forgotten my price label multiple times, but if you do buy cards from people there, you can turn it over, put a price on there, and then put it into the showcase. I've had numerous cards that I've bought from people sell almost straight away, so bring the price label. It's actually a really important one. Another thing I would recommend is a hand trolley because with some shows, they might not have the easiest access, so having a hand trolley to carry boxes and boxes of cards, even your showcase as well, will always be really handy. And then most importantly, you need something to secure your cards that you're bringing into the showcase. What better accessory than my very own Matt's card case? This is the 4-row case here with the PSA foam. We also have the 2-row case here that I've flipped backwards with the 1-touch foam. On all cases now, the 2, the 3, and the 4-row cases, you do have the PSA foam and the 1-touch foam included. So go check them out on my website down below at mattscardshop.com. And then going on from my advertisement there, another great way to help advertise yourself is to have stuff like a QR code. You can also have business cards there, a banner, tablecloths, things that will help you get that customer to come back to you potentially after the store, whether it's for your Instagram, your whatnot shows, your YouTube channel, your TikTok account like I do myself. Now the extra tip I will give for this one, and this one's very sneaky, but measure out your display. So find out that the lengths of the tables that they do provide you. I'll give you some examples that I do have written down for myself. So 2 standard trestle tables, which I think are about 1.8 to 1.9 meters. They end up fitting 2 of those jersey frames for me and 6 of the 3-row bargain boxes that I do have. But yes, lay it out on the floor and create like an invisible table because you want to make sure you bring enough to fill out your table, or also make sure you don't bring too much where you can't show everything on the table. Another thing I would look out for is to have a lot of payment methods available. So in Australia, we do have a fair few things. You can get a Square. My wife Jazz does have it on her phone. So with the Square on her phone, you can actually just do a pay wave. You don't actually need the Square machine itself. You can also be prepared with having your own Pay ID and PayPal. I'm not the biggest fan of Pay ID and PayPal, but you can get instant payment obviously as well. So make sure if you are getting payment from people through Pay ID and PayPal that you double check and make sure the payment has come in so they're not just buying, giving you a fake transaction and doing a runner. And then as always, cash is king, especially for the buyers out there. Make sure you bring cash. And as a seller, it's important to bring change. I always talk about the $5 note in Australia being like gold because having a lot of bargain boxes, people do pay with like $50 notes, and then having that $5 change or that $5 note is actually very important for me. Make sure you always bring help if needed. I've never actually set up at a show solo, so I don't know what it's like, but if you got some really important cards behind the showcase, make sure you bring some help, or at the very least, ask your neighbors to keep a lookout if you do need to go to the toilet, or if you're like Scott Hansen and you can stay in the same spot for 5 to 6 hours, then go ahead with that. So the next tip I'll give out is to track what actually does sell. So not everyone will want to do this. I'm someone who likes to stay on top of all my numbers, but what I like doing is taking a photo of the card front and back. I think it also helps in knowing how much sales you get for the day. Another thing I would recommend is if you do bring a float in terms of cash, to actually count how much cash you have at the start of the day and also count how much cash you have at the end of the day. Obviously, you can track everything via PayPal and Pay ID and count everything up, but I do like knowing how much sales I've made throughout the entire day, because then you can work out what worked well, what didn't work well, and everything else in between. And the last tip that I'll give out is to arrive early to the show, especially if you are setting up. I would recommend arriving at least 90 to 120 minutes before the show, especially if you do not know the actual venue setup. And you never know, you might need multiple trips to the car, you might need to go up a flight of stairs, you might need to go up and down lifts, but you do need to do that multiple times potentially Then you've got to get into the show. Then you've also got to set up as well. And you also want to give yourself time to walk around. So giving yourself 30 minutes will not be enough. I always recommend around 90 to 120 minutes. Most shows that I've sold at, I haven't had that opportunity to walk around myself until around the last hour, and I've actually had people helping me. So by then you'd expect a lot of deals are gone. So that benefit of actually setting up at a card show is that you'll get a lot of earlier deals compared to other people. So use that opportunity to look around, get there early and have that chance. Yeah guys, that is it for the video. I hope you guys learned something, took something out of this video in terms of setting up at a card show. Please leave a like down below, comment down below and hit the subscribe button if you guys haven't subscribed already. Yeah, I'll see you guys all in the next video. Take care.